Hey comic book peeps, I'm Joe and this is Anachronic Comics.
Anachronic.
So there are some comic books that seem to be on many people's want lists. There are obvious examples, let's say from Marvel, Hulk 181, Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man 129. They all introduce characters that have had a lasting effect on the Marvel continuity. So when I got into the comic book online community a few years ago, I started to hear about a comic book that seemed to be on everyone's want list. Now, I had never heard of the character, and I had never seen that character in any comic book. Yet, the character and his first issue was, to these people that I spoke to, really important. Now that character is the Blue Marvel, and the comic book is Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel #1, his first appearance. This is the first book of a 5-issue miniseries. Now, I've seen people online hunting this book, lamenting when a reasonably priced copy, or any copy for that matter, couldn't be found, and celebrating when the collector was able to find and buy a copy, posting it on Instagram, showing it on a video. Key Collector Comics calls it, quote, the rare type of book that seems to be in demand whether there is news or not. So what makes this comic book so desirable? Is it speculation? Is it the artwork? The story? Is there some sort of historical significance here, whether comic book history or general history? Now, I don't profess to be an expert in all things Marvel, or DC for that matter, but I thought I kept abreast of important characters, storylines, and, industry grails, if you will. But for some unknown reason to me, if I want to follow the crowd, I should be looking to add a copy of Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel #1 to my collection. Now, with rare exception, I don't buy older comics on speculation, but I do buy them to fill holes in my runs, or because I like the character, or perhaps the storyline is important in comic book history. So if I would decide to start the search for a nice copy of Legend of the Blue Marvel #1, I need more info. Now, in my business life, being an attorney, I did a lot of research. So I decided here to do some research and to see if I could discover what made this character, and accordingly this comic book, so very desirable. So here's what I found out. Oh, and incidentally, links to the source material I used for this video can be found below. So in 2016, one reporter lamented that Blue Marvel #1 was in the dollar bins just a few short years before. And as it started to creep up in value, he decided to wait for the prices to crash before buying. But no such luck. Recent eBay listings that I saw had raw copies selling for crazy prices. As a matter of fact, I saw 2, each going for almost $1,000. Now, Go Collect has an FMV for a 9.8 set at $1,250, a 9.6 for $550, and a 9.4 for $400 as of the date of this recording. Now, Key Collector lists all 5 issues of the run as keys. Now, for issue #1, it states as follows. First, it's the first appearance of the Blue Marvel, a powerful black superhero forced into retirement in the 60s due to his race. Second, the rare type of book that seems to be in demand whether there is news or not. Right? But that doesn't help me. That just tells me why I'm looking to find out about it. Third, this book has been slowly climbing for months and is hitting big numbers in CGC 9.8 now, with a new all-time record high of $1,500. This was in August of 2020. Next, Carl Lumbly has been cast in The Falcon and Winter Soldier in an unknown role that is speculated to be Isaiah Bradley or Adam Brashear, the Blue Marvel. Next, first appearance of Ant-Man And finally, 17,000 estimated copies ordered by retailers. Now, as an aside, you may recall that Carl Lumbly was in CW's Supergirl and played Marin Johns, the former high religious leader of the Green Martians and the father of John Johns, the Martian Manhunter. So yeah, first appearance is cool, but there are 3 clues here to desirability. The first is the backstory of the character. Quote, a powerful black superhero forced into retirement in the 60s due to his race, end quote. Now, having lived through the 1960s, this interests me. The second was that there appears to be some buzz about the Blue Marvel appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the third, it looks like there was a relatively low print run. So let's take each of these clues. So Atom Legend of the Blue Marvel has a cover date of January 2009. However, its release date was November 5th, 2008. Some historical perspective is needed to see how the run compared. Now, although I can't find run rates, we can find sales. According to COMICVINE, Secret Invasion dominated the sales for 2008, with issues 1 to 6 holding the top positions. November 2008 saw a general price increase to $3.99, although some comics held the line at $2.99 for a while. So this resulted in poorer than average sales for the direct market, and the lowest sales for the top 300 since the year 2000. So let's take a look. The top 5 issues for 2008 in unit sales were: position number 1, Ultimatum number 1, with a price tag of $3.99 from Marvel, sold 114,208 units. Second was Batman number 681, priced at $3.99 from DC, with sales of 103,131 units. Third was Hulk, issue number 8, with a price tag of $2.99 from Marvel, that sold 90,759 units. Number 4 was Wolverine number 69, priced at $2.99 from Marvel, that sold 88,893 units. Number 5 was Uncanny X-Men number 504, priced at $2.99 from Marvel, that sold 77,758 units. The lowest unit sales for number 300 in the list sold only 2,230 copies. The most easily recognizable comic in this bottom 6 was Spider-Man Brand New Day number 2, which sold 2,354 units, and it put it on number 295 out of 300. So where does Atom Legend of the Blue Marvel number 1 fall in this category? Not awful, considering other sales for the month and its $3.99 price tag. The comic placed 115 out of 300 in units sold. You see, so although print run is a factor in its popularity, there is more to this comic's desirability than just a low print run, which I believe is usually the case. In fact, the succeeding issue number 2 through 5 had much lower print runs than number 1. So let's take a look at other potential reasons for its popularity. So, will Carl Lumbly be playing the Blue Marvel in The Falcon and Winter Soldier? That certainly would give issue number 1 a leg up. Deadline suggests the following. Lumbly's role has not been disclosed, but Marvel fans will immediately pounce on the possibility that the veteran actor could be playing Isaiah Bradley, aka the Black Captain Marvel. The fan-favorite throwback characters was introduced in 2003 in the Marvel Comics limited series Truth, Red, White, and Black, as a super-powered product of clandestine experiments on African-American soldiers. The evocative backstory, depicted with imagery that evoked the infamous real-world Tuskegee syphilis studies, made Bradley a tragic but noble cultural symbol for African-American heroes within the Marvel Universe. Now this seems much more likely to me, or he could be playing another character entirely. Both Newsbreak and Bounding Into Comics have reported rumors that Marvel may be placing the Blue Marvel into the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. show. However, they both attribute that rumor to the same YouTuber without any additional corroboration. Now, apparently speculators are banking on these rumors, but unsubstantiated rumors still don't appear to me to substantiate current prices, or desirability for that matter. Now, also worth noting, and notwithstanding these rumors, Atom, Legend of the Blue Marvel's rise in popularity predates these rumored entries into the MCU. So although it may be a factor in the continued rise, in my view, it can't be the basis for it. Now, the final potential element is the storyline. According to Marvel.com, quote, "In the 1960s, Adam Brashear was a young man who served his country as a U.S. Marine. When he discovered his superpowers, he fashioned a secret identity with which to protect his country, the Blue Marvel. He served as a hero for years and was one of the most popular heroes of his time. Yet, Adam had a secret. He was an African American, a fact not lost on the government. As a precaution against so much power in the hands of a black man, they took steps to control him, even going so far as to plant a spy for him to date. His career as the Blue Marvel ended after he faced Anti-Man. With his ethnicity revealed, Adam was pressured by the government to retire." End quote. So that's a short summary. However, there's a lot more to the story. Race relations in the 1960s, according to the storyline, prevented the government, and perhaps the population at large, from accepting an African American superhero, even one to whom the then President Kennedy, according to the story, had awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The original storyline has the villain, Anti-Man, attempting to change the world to eliminate what he sees as racism, even if it means the deaths of many innocent people. So is this the reason for the comic's significance and desirability with collectors? According to Ryan Fraser's World of Black Heroes, quote, "The effects of a black Superman on this time, the 1960s, in America's history, would truly have been polarizing indeed." End quote. So this is very intriguing. But remember, we're looking for a catalyst to the popularity of the Blue Marvel. And by 2008, the portrayal of black superheroes in comics was not new. When Stan Lee passed away in 2018, the Associated Press ran a story called, "When It Came to Racism, the Pen Was Stan Lee's Superpower." The story rightfully praised Stan Lee for mainstreaming black superheroes such as the Black Panther and Luke Cage, and other heroes like the X-Men who were shunned by society because they were different. In fact, there were many superheroes of color that had come to prominence before the Blue Marvel. Some prominent examples are T'Challa, the Black Panther, who first appeared in Fantastic Four number 52 in 1966. Black Lightning, who first appeared in Black Lightning number 1 in 1977. The Falcon, who first appeared in Captain America number 117 in 1969. John Stewart, Green Lantern, in Green Lantern Volume 2 number 87 in 1971. And Storm in Giant-Sized X-Men number 1 in 1975. So I need a little bit more information, so I looked into the creator that thought up the character and the backstory. The Blue Marvel miniseries was created by Kevin Grevioux. Now, according to Wikipedia, besides writing comic books, Kevin Grevioux was an actor and screenwriter. Interestingly, in view of the origin and powers of the Blue Marvel, Grevioux had a degree in microbiology and had started work in grad school towards a master's degree in genetic engineering. Grevioux has appeared in many movies as well, including Batman Forever as one of Harvey Dent's thugs, in 1991 Steel, based on DC's John Henry Steel, that starred Shaq, not critically acclaimed as you might imagine, and he had an uncredited character named Mitchell in 2003's Hulk. Now, the Blue Marvel was based on a character that Grevioux created as a teenager. He was born in 1962, which from an historical perspective would put his teenage years at about 1975 through 1982. Accordingly, he likely read and was aware of the heroes I mentioned earlier. The difference between the Blue Marvel and the other heroes of color may be that Graveau's original Blue Marvel's run explored the 1960s, rather than the 1970s, 80s, or 90s for that matter, when superheroes such as Spider-Man, Thor, Iron Man, and Fantastic Four were considered heroes by the comic book public. According to Graveau, the premise of the Blue Marvel was to explore a simple question: what if those heroes were black? In a 2008 interview with MTV News preceding the release of the 5-issue miniseries, Graveau noted, quote, "Would Blue Marvel be hailed as a hero? Or would he be an object of fear, giving a lot of misconceptions about blacks throughout our history in this country? All I had to do was to give the story an historical context in pre-Civil Rights America," end quote. So is the comic significant from an historical perspective? I say yes. Is this enough to put it on everyone's want list? Maybe for some it is, but not enough to make it so popular, I think. After the miniseries, Blue Marvel made a few appearances in the Avengers and became a member of the Ultimates. But as far as I can tell, but sometimes I have difficulty counting past 10, he's made less than 100 appearances since Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel #1, which was his first appearance. So it looks like he's been a bit player in the Marvel Universe. If the origin story was so significant, wouldn't he have been used more by the Marvel powers that be? Perhaps. So, back to me. Should I pick up a copy of Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel #1? So my answer, following my research, is yes. And here's why. For me, I think Blue Marvel is a cool character that should be brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and given more prominence in comics. His place in the history of comics, going back to the 1960s storyline, would make a great story in the MCU. Blue Marvel could help Marvel set out the history of superheroes between the turbulent 60s and modern day. For the MCU, it could be a throwback movie like the Black Widow or in DC's Wonder Woman. And it could introduce the character in the past and bring him up to today. The trend at DC with its future state, and with Marvel generally, is to introduce and develop more diverse characters. And this may very well be a trend to which Blue Marvel fits nicely. Although there has not been any direct announcement that I know of, based on the past, it would not be out of the realm of possibility that Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige could use Phase 4 to build towards another Avengers-type Endgame story. It may not be a new Avengers, but perhaps a version of the Ultimates. After all, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, the Black Panther, maybe Shuri at this point, and now Spectrum, Monica Rambeau, who's debuting in WandaVision series on Disney+, already in the MCU. So maybe add the Blue Marvel and another one or two that were on the roster. How about Miss America? And how about Miles Morales? So although the limited run has some appeal, I think the character's powerful backstory and future potential had me looking for a copy. And surprise, it just got here. Found it on my comic shop. Let's take a look. Very cool. So here it is. Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel #1. Hopefully you guys can see this. So I got my copy, a 9.6 at a good price. I was real happy with it. So after all my research, I became part of the group. So that's the video for today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, and if you learned something maybe about Adam, Legend of Blue Marvel, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and hitting that alerts button so you know when I upload any new video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.